A very fine morning to you from the studio above the clouds. It is Tuesday morning here. I'm going to jump in and start glazing some of these fired pieces. Actually, I'm going to continue glazing. Started on some. I'll probably go ahead and put the start up, the video of that, but it's really short. I started on it, I think it was Friday. It might have even been over the weekend, but just got a little icky feeling and kind of had to cut and run. And then spent a couple of days kind of icky feeling and didn't really get back to this. Didn't get back to this at all. Actually, haven't been back over to the studio at all for a few days. And this is my first back over here. So we're gonna jump in and yay to feeling better. Woo! Drinking my water. Yay, water. Yay, water. And just going to dive back in to some underglaze. That's what I was doing. Going to do some underglaze, and then we'll be doing some additional glazing as well. And talking about how I'm trying to salvage some of this. I started on that in the other video. There's a break, for instance, on my lovely little, I'm going to very gently turn him your way. You can see the green right there on my dragon neck. And it snapped. Total user error. That was me. It wasn't even, I mean, it was user error the way it was built. I would not advise anything that delicate. And I think I said that even whenever I was building it. I was like, this is an accident waiting to happen. This will never last through a dishwasher. And sure enough, I broke it before I even put it in the kiln. Woo! Yay! And I tried to stick it back on, and then I broke it again because I'm clumsy, and it was mine. But I'm gonna try, because I'm like this. I'm gonna try to stick it back on with this stuff, with the clear brushing glaze, and it's the transparent gloss glaze. So I'm going to try to stick it back on, and then I'm going to put some chunky glaze there. I'll show you what I do. It's going to be a mess, but it's also the kind of thing I do for somebody that if you were taking a class, and I said this in the other video, I'm just saying it now just in case I decide that I'm not going to pop it up. And it's like your first piece ever, and it breaks. And I just know what it's like because I'm like this with all of my pieces, and it's like my 100th piece ever or whatever. But it's your first piece ever, or your third. It's your first bowl, your first dragon bowl, or your monster, and your horn falls off, and it's your first thing. And man, it's your first thing. You don't want it to be broken. You want to take that home. We're gonna figure, if there is a way that we can figure out how to get that sucker to stick together with glaze and not ruin the kiln, obviously. I'm gonna help you figure out how to get that baby to stick back together, get the ear to stick on, get the eyeball to hang on, so that you can take that baby home with you and be proud of it and have it for the rest of your life, or give it to your mama, or whatever it is. We're gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. And that's what little experiments like this are about also, is how can I stick this back on? Like, one of the things that happened is one of these horns fell off before I fired, and I stuck that baby back on, and it stayed on, and it will stay on at this point. It's not going anywhere. And so I'll do little mistakes like that with my things. I'll power through and figure out how to make them happy accidents, because they're gonna happen with your pieces also, and we're going to figure out how to make it work because you worked for that. So anyway, just kind of so what's going on there and why this is going to evolve into something else on that neck. If there's any way I can stick that back on, it's going to be an adventure. So anyway, we're going to go for that today because I'm feeling up to it, and it's going to be fun. And then after that, if we get through all of this, we're going to jump back into the painting that I was working on because I'd love, gosh, if I could finish it today. It's got to get finished this week. But if I could finish it today, that'd be amazing. I doubt that'll happen, but it'd be really cool. All right, so let's dive in here. I was working on cat face, but I feel inspired by dragon neck right now because I started talking about it. So I'm going to work on old dragon neck and do a little sticky. And I'm going overboard on this because it's going to work. It's going to work. So I'm going to stick a little bit more of this on. And it is shiny. It's going to make it shiny is the other thing that this is. You can get not shiny clear coat glaze, but mine is also shiny. And I'm filling in this crack with it, but man, am I being gentle. Ooh, because the only thing holding this together is this dried glaze. What's going to happen, though, is the glaze is going to melt, and there's a good possibility it's going to drip. Because there's a lot here. So I have to be very careful with it. But I'm trying to fill in the crack as much as I can without in any way putting pressure on the neck, popping it off. This is ridiculous. We'll see if it even works. And there's a very good possibility this won't even work. But we're going to remain positive. And if it doesn't, the final thing is just to glue it all with super glue. But we are going to put something under this in the kiln so that if this does fall, it doesn't fall on the kiln shelf and ruin the kiln shelf, because that is expensive and tragic. It's a lot. It's too much, but we're going to work with that. Oh, this is silly. This is silly. So silly. This is so silly. I let this stuff get really thick so that I can use it like this. Almost like a glue. It's so silly. But it actually does work miracles on personal projects. I wouldn't do it like this on anything that I was gonna like sell, because of course it diminishes the strength substantially. But you know, if you're making something as a gift and it was really meaningful and it breaks during construction, this is a way to make sure that it still makes it through. Or if you're making it as a purely personal for yourself, this is nice. All right, and then I'd put some down here to hold it a little bit, but I want a little bit more underneath the head here so that it doesn't, so that it's less tempted to fall off. There we go. Little wad under the fissifiss. You guys can't see it, sorry. Fissifiss. Cute little fiss. None of this is approved glazing technique. This is, hey, can we save something that's broken technique? That is what this is. None of this is recommended. But we're going to see how it works. And then we'll fire it probably tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be warmer and the kiln is actually not in the open air by any means, but it is responsive to the outside. It's in the garage. So, all right. I'm going to give that a little bit to dry just so that it all hardens up nicely before I start mucking around with it with other colors and glazes and whatnot. Let me just get rid of that. All right, I'm going to put this off to the side. Actually, I need water. I did not prepare myself well with water. Let me get this mason jar of some water. There we go. Okay. I have all these little pre-mixed containers of various under glazes. Where do I want this to sit? I'll just do this right here. Okay. And I have the little pencils that I was loving, that I was working on old cat face with. So we'll go back to cat face. Old cat face. You can see I was working, these were with the pencils. I'll do a little bit more pencil work. And then I'll come back with a brush to smooth it all out. So I'm going to do a little bit with the red, the inside of the ears. Oh, there we go. I need to empty this thing. I think we are full. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, we'll do a little inside of the ear pink. There we go. And then this side, a little inside of the ear pink. Flippy floppy. And then I think I'm going to do, I'm looking forward to building some more stuff. And I got to glaze what I got. I always get inspired to do more stuff while I have stuff to glaze. I need to just build and then hand off to somebody else to glaze and be like, here, glaze this. Do whatever you want. Just glaze it. So weird. But I really, I kind of like glazing, but it is not my favorite part of doing pottery. I have to admit, I would just assume like build and then hand it off to somebody else and be like, here, just have fun, enjoy. For some, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but it is just not. The glazing is not my favorite part of this. It is not. Don't know why. All right, let's do some dark blue on the inside. Let me move you out of the way here, my dude. Do it gently. This is an underglaze also, and it's really important on underglazes to remember you're going to have to do another sealing, another glaze on top of that. But this will be a nice inside, I think. Glazing is so fun because what color, so often, you know, what it goes on as is not what it comes out as. So this is a very, very dark blue. Does not look like that right now. So you just have to kind of trust. And that's also why you test your glazes. That's why, for instance, you know, one of the rules of the shop, of the studio, is you can only use clays and glazes from the studio. So you can only use things that have been tested here in this kiln, that I know how it works. And that's almost always going to be true. studio you work in, that's a pretty common rule that you have to buy the and that's actually why that rule exists in pretty much any studio, that you have to buy the clay through the studio. That's why that exists, is because different clay bodies, different glazes react differently, and they can they can impact the other clays and glazes within the kiln. So if you bring in a different kiln body, oh my gosh, a different clay body, a different kind of clay that reacts differently, it can, I mean, it can even up to and including explode within the kiln. I just had a minor explosion from a known clay body, and it was because I rushed it. I know exactly why it happened. I rushed it, and it wasn't dry yet. That was user error. Um, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. I knew it. It didn't hurt anything else, but you can have stuff happen, and that's why those rules exist. It's not. It can be easy to think, oh, they're just trying to make money off of me, and no, most studios don't upcharge. Even they don't charge any extra for the clay. They just want to make sure that they know how it's going to behave within their kiln, and so that you're using the exact same clay body and the exact same uh, glazes that they're using. That's the reason that those kind of rules exist. It's not like they're trying to make money off of upcharging or anything. It's so that they know how it's going to behave, because it can be so different depending. It really can, depending on the kiln, the clay body, the elevation where you live can impact it, which is, considering where I am, kind of a big deal. We're in the Appalachian Mountains, so the elevation's different. So that's going to change the temperature that the kiln is going to fire at a little bit. And it did change the temperature from what it said it needed to be a little bit. So we had to change the kiln settings some. All right. Just trying to make sure that this is a nice, I don't want it to look spotty and weird. I want it to be a nice, even coat when it dries and when it fires in the kiln. So I'm trying to get a good, even coat. And you can tell these have been fired now, because I can actually do like this with them. You could never have done that before. That would have shattered this before it was fired. All right, we'll let that do its thing a little bit. All right, so that's the dark blue on the inside of my cat face. Let's see, the outside of the cat. I really like my yellow cat, but maybe we'll do this one as an orange cat, because I have an orange cat. I have 2 orange cats, and they're crazy. They are crazy. I also have a gray cat, and he's a nut. So maybe gray. We thought he was gone. It's Gandalf. Gandalf the Gray. He disappeared for about 48 hours. And then he just strutted back in like he had never gone anywhere. Jerk. Jerk, jerk, jerk. All right, we'll do some red here. Red cat. Ooh, I do have a tangerine. Do I want to do tangerine? Nah, red. We're going to do this with all underglaze. That's a dipper. We'll do that separate. Okay. So I need another. Let's use this one. Do a red stripe down the old ear. And of course, Gandalf is in the house, sleeping it all off now. Whatever he got into. Doesn't look like he got into any fights. Jerk. Jerk, 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 jerk. Somebody's driving up the driveway. Trying to decide if I want to do the backs of the ears a different color. And I kind of think I do. So that's what that was all about. Oop. I hit that. There we go. Wipe that off. Whoops. Whoops. Yeah, I think I want to do just the rim in this. And then do the backs of the ears and the eyelids and whatnot a different color. Tops of the eyelids, I mean. All right, so that's red. And now, dark blue, red. I was thinking about black now. Hey, I got a visitor. Sophie. Just Sophie. Hey, baby. What's going on? Come here. Oh, come here. What's up? You want to say hi? You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Say hi. Say hi. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I know. I know. I know. I love you, Sophie. I love you, Sophie. Oh, you're the bestest. Oh, I love you, Sophie. She likes to lick. Sophie is a licker. She likes to give kisses. Sophie. Okay. I'm going to put you down now. Oh, you have your hand on my microphone. You have your hand on my microphone. Sophie. We're recording. Sophie made an appearance. Say hello again. All right, Sophie, I'm going to put you down and go back to glazing. Famous dog. Yes. Mwah. I love you. I love you, cutie pie. Oh. Sophie staying? All right, you're going to stay, Sophie. You're hanging out. Okay. Nope, she's staying. Sophie likes it up here. She likes the couch. You like it up here, don't you? Yeah, you like to hang out with the futon. You can hang out. Sophie's an art dog. Yeah, you are. You're the cutest. You should see her little tail. Oh my God. Oh, you are the cutest. I love you. All right, she's going to hang out. She's here now. She's chilling. She's chilling. Sophie loves people. Oh my gosh. She is, we called her the diplomat when we had a short-term rental up in this space for a while, because she would just meet people. Like, that's just what she does. She just meets people and introduces herself, and therefore introduces others. She would have been, and we did have her when we lived in DC, when we lived in the DC metro area. We didn't live in DC proper. We lived in the larger Northern Virginia area. But she was a very good people introducer because she's just absurdly, aggressively friendly. She is aggressively friendly. Like, oh my God, you just can't deal with. She'll run up on people if she can get off her leash in the city. She was one of those who would just be like, I will brave 6 lanes of traffic to meet you. And that was the problem. She would brave 6 lanes of traffic to meet you. It was not cool. But here with the short-term rental, we would like not be able to find her sometimes and then go, wait a second, has anybody checked the apartment? And sure enough, she'd be chilling with whoever was renting. It was like this place came with a dog as well, because she'd be up here chilling with whoever was renting the apartment. She would just be hanging out on the couch or hanging out in bed with whoever was renting the apartment, because she'd made friends with them, even if they had a dog or a cat or whatever. It didn't matter. Or kids. She loves kids. She's a little bit of a jumper, but she's very small. So sometimes that's not too big of a deal, but she is a little bit of a jumper, so that's she's never learned not to be. But yeah, she is aggressively friendly, and that's been the only problem with not doing a short-term rental or anything, is that she doesn't get as much social time. Little social butterfly. No, she's chilling on the futon. She's missed that as well. She spent a lot of time up here when we rented this place, hanging out with people, chilling with the peeps. So I imagine she would like to see peeps again. My little greeter. She also does not understand car danger, so that's a problem. That is an issue. Yeah, that's Oh. Uh, and she's small. So we have to watch her very closely because she doesn't. I know our lovely mail lady knows about that as well as all the UPS or whatever that's not the uh, United States Mail and FedEx and all of those folks, all the different delivery drivers know that she's an idiot when it comes to vehicles. She's an idiot. But she's incredibly sweet and stupid cute. So I decided just to go wild sweetie with this, just so you know what I'm doing. Blue on the inside, red around the edge, purple. We are not going for a realistic critter. And I am not doing so usually do as I say, not as I do. How often do you hear me say that? All the time. Usually a quarter inch rule around the bottom so that you don't have disasters with the glaze because glaze will run and then it runs on the kiln and kiln shelves are I think I already said this once crazy expensive. Like they're stupid expensive. Oh my god, I had to order a new one and I mean I'm serious guys. It's like $900. It was really I'm not even exaggerating. They're really stupid, ridiculous expensive. Like stupid expensive. It was you have no idea. You have no idea if you're not a potter. I was blown away. Blown away. Like you've got to be kidding me. How expensive these are. So we don't want to do anything bad to kiln shelves because oh crap. Uh so you don't want the glaze to run onto them. So a very, very common rule in pottery shops is or pottery studios. You notice I say shops a lot. That comes from the theater background, I think, and working in a scene shop. I think that's what I think the shop thing, that's what that is. I put that together. I was like, what is with my shop thing? That's gotta be what that is. It's scene shop. But anyway, so the quarter inch rule is a thing. But I'm not doing it here because this is underglaze and underglaze doesn't run as often and it's my kiln. So I'm just going to do that also. Say that also. I'm going to take the chance because it's going to be my own fault if something bad happens. And I also put it up on these little riser things that I know I'm going to use. So lots of different things, but we do usually do you must wax resist, which I'm also not doing uh, again because it's mine. Um, but you must wax resist, which is another protective thing that you do on the bottom to again help protect your kiln. So you must wax resist, and you must do a quarter inch barrier. So those are both very, 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 very common uh, clay studio rules. In fact, I can't think of one I've been in that hasn't had those common rules. I think that's been everyone I have ever been a part of has had that as a studio expectation because it keeps things safe. Much like the using clay from the studio. And it's all those reasons that it just keep things safe, minimizes catastrophes with clay. Unfortunately, all you can do is minimize. You can never prevent with pottery. It's just the way it is. There's always going to be something's going to happen, and that's part of. I think that's part of pottery is just accepting the inevitable of hey, man, sometimes something's going to happen to a piece that you love that you've worked on for weeks, and for weeks, and something's going to happen. It's going to break. A piece of it's going to come off, or the whole bloody thing's going to shatter. Uh, And that's the test is, do you come back from that, or do you let that, like, break your love of the whole thing? Um, and you come back from it. You just come back from it. But man, whew, yeah, it'll throw you for a loop for a minute. Don't let anybody tell you it doesn't. Oh man, I watched a video and it was a sped up one. So it was an edited, sped up, uh, total jump scare for any Potter. It's been a while since I watched it. No warning at all. This guy, uh, fantastic. This was Wheel Throne. Oh my gosh, this platter, his level of skill, just phenomenal. Wonderful. I mean, this thing was huge, 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 huge platter. And he was working on it. Again, it was one of those for weeks and weeks and, well, I mean, days and days and days and days and days. But it was, you have to keep working it. You have to let it get to leather hard. He has to let it get to various different stages. And it was one of those where he'd mix different clays together to get it all of these different, um, these different, oh, sorry, that was your microphone, different layers of color. And it was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it's him working it and working it and working it. And one of the times he goes back and they don't give you any warning. I could have screamed, and I did give a little, oh, he goes back to pick it up, and he goes and he picks up this gorgeous, gorgeous, just, as a Potter, I know how much went into this. And I could never make anything this, not at this point in my life anyway. I'm not that skilled on a wheel. This just phenomenal. And he goes and he picks it up, and the whole thing just shatters just into 1,000 pieces, bazillion pieces. Jump scare, total jump scare. But it happens, man, it happens. And you have your little moment, and hopefully you have a Potter friend who you can like call and go, ah, who gets it. And then you shake it off and you move on and you do it again. Um, but that is something to, I guess, kind of know as you get into it. And it happens to everybody, no matter how skilled you are. And that's something to know. I think that's important. Of like, it's not a that you're bad at it. It just sometimes it happens. It's all about the recovery. It's life. Pottery is life. Probably why I've always liked it so much. It is life. A very lovely, very visceral reflection. And anybody, I'm very, in a way, probably even more than painting. And I'm probably consider myself a better painter than I am Potter. Been doing it longer with more effect. Um, but I, other than the fact that you need, and I guess if you're using air dry clay, you don't need a kiln and whatnot. But you need those resources to do pottery. I think it's incredibly accessible, and maybe more so than painting. Um, I just and the stuff that comes out of it can be useful. Not useful. That's so relative. Beauty is useful, and that's such a capitalist way to look at things that I do not approve of. Useful, um, but it can be functional, and I love functional pottery. I love functional things. And that's what I mean by useful, is that it can be functional also. It can be a spoon, it can be a bowl, it can be a vessel of some sort. Um, but I do not mean to imply that beauty itself does not have purpose, and that joy itself does not have purpose, because that's crap. Okay, now going to turn my purple cat around. Oh, purple cat, oh, purple cat, what have they been feeding you? Might need a smaller brush to get into these little spaces. 'Cause I kind of don't want it to get on the eyelids. I want to do something different there. There we go. Yeah, it's much better. Much better. Yeah, I don't want to. I think it's supposed to be in the teens again tonight. Fahrenheit, of course. Whenever I talk, I'm talking uh, Fahrenheit and inches and feet and stuff like that. Um, Please excuse. But pretty cold, and it's not good for the kiln to have to fight. Even though the garage will not be anywhere near that cold, it's not good for it to have to fight that hard to warm up. So it's better that I don't fire tonight and wait until tomorrow is supposed to be, I think, in the 50s. Today's 40s. I'm not going to be done glazing in time to deal with that. But tomorrow is, I think, supposed to be in the 50s. So if I maybe even get the kiln loaded today, might get everything glazed and load. Um, then tomorrow, when it gets warm, I'll start a fire. And then in the evening, it should be done because it's a medium speed. For this, it'll be a cone 6 medium speed. So it'll take about, I mean, that's still, gosh, 10 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, about 10 hours from beginning to end. About 8 hours beginning to end. So, yeah, that's a while. And it's got to get to, what is that? Oh gosh, I don't have my cones memorized, but that's hot. Is hot, 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 hot. So it's got to get really hot, and in the 50s tomorrow will be good. That won't be too much for it to have to. I mean, still hot, 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 but in terms of outside temperature, it's not too terrible, but you don't really want it to be, I think it says below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. At least that's what I try for, so. All right. I think that's probably okay. We'll see. And then we'll let that dry a little bit more. Now I want to come in where I did that red in the ear. Clean that up really nicely. Hit it with some water and smear the ear. Smear the ear. Not too much, my dude. But this stuff acts kind of like a watercolor. So it doesn't have to be, you know how it looked kind of rough and pencily. I mean, that's how it'll end if I don't spread it out a little bit. That's much nicer like that. So this is what, I don't know how much you can even tell, but that's what it looked like. And ooh, spin. Oh, that's all wet. Let me try not to touch that. And that's what it looked like after I just hit it with a little bit of water, treated it more like some watercolor, smeared it around a little bit, and that's what it'll look like after it it fires too. So much nicer. And I'm going to do that with the other ones, and I'm also going to do that with the eyelids, the nose, all the stuff I use the underglaze pencils on. So I'm going to go back and just do a little smear. So it looks a little less like pencil and a little more like inner ear, frankly. A little more like inner ear. There you go. Put a little bit more of that over here. I like that. Cool. Okay. Nice. Now I'm going to bring the black around the edge here so it looks a little bit more sketched. Almost looks like somebody used a charcoal pencil. On the nose, nosy nose. Cute little nose. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the eyes. I really like these pencils. Really like them. Cool invention. What What I really want to do now, and I haven't done a ton of, is start doing some drawings because I mean, I do draw and I do paint um, on some of the pottery, and I haven't done a whole lot of that. But I think it would be a lot of fun to combine those two things, and I don't know why I haven't done a whole lot of that. Time, just haven't done it yet. Now is the time. I think I'm going to hit the edge of this with a little extra black. I'll do that in a moment. And I think I'm going to do the same here. Just needs a little bit more. Okay. And then the eyes. Okay, and then we do these. I need to hit the edge of the eyes too, because it's not popping quite as much as I wanted to, although I do like it. But it needs a little bit more color. The orange is just kind of going away. It's a good start though. But it is just kind of fading into nothing. Yeah. Yep, fading into nothing. All right. But we'll work with that. Nothing if not creative. Jet black. All right, we're going to go with some jet black. Shift you up here. A little black. Do a little correction along the edge here. All right, I like that much, much more. Let's go back and do the same thing on this side. Hit it with some black. Need a big test of whether this runs or not. Here's hoping. Not supposed to. Point of underglaze. But we'll see. I've had some bad luck with it in the past. Might have to put some music on here soon, although I'm just singing along in my head. I currently have Lavender Haze stuck in my head. So just bopping. Just bopping. All right. Like it. Now we need to do the eyeballs because the eyeballs are not right enough and I don't like it. Actually, first, here we go. Hi, Sophie. Sophie. My phone is making noise. It's not quite a nice enough day to have the door open, so Sophie does not get to enjoy going outside on the porch. Unfortunately, I know she would like that immensely, but not today. Not today. I really want a yellow. Most of these are dried up. These are not things that we would use in class. These are just kind of things I'm trying to use up at this point because they are old and dried up. The underglazes, that is, except for the pencils. We would definitely use the pencils. I mean, you're welcome to use any of this stuff, the underglazes. I just kind of make no, need to get some more because I make no, this is dried up. So I make no promises about what it's gonna look like once you get any of it to work on a paintbrush. And I'm gonna get some on this paintbrush, and then I'm gonna use it on these eyeballs. And then I'm gonna put some hot water in this. Let's see if we can even use any of it. Is there any? No, I think I'm gonna have to bring this back from the dead, and it's gonna take some time. So that's not gonna work. But maybe I can find something else that will. Always fun. I really just want yellow. Have this tangerine again that I could go with, but my plan was not to use it here. All right, we'll try this again. I'll order some more underglazes for classes. I'm trying to use these up, but my yellow is dead, apparently. I'll use the pencil. Oops. This will be good. A little bit more blacky black there. Let's get that nice and smooth. All right, and now what we want to do is let all of this dry exceptionally well, like dry, 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 dry. And then I'm going to come back over top of it. Oh, well, then I'm going to check and make sure it doesn't look spotty anywhere. And then I'm going to come back over all of it with a clear coat. So that'll be the next big thing is a clear coat after the body. But that is the goofy little guy right now. But we'll let him dry up just exceptionally well for the moment, and then come back and check him out even better and make sure. You want it to be totally dry before you put another layer of any kind of glaze or anything on it, because it won't stick well if not. So we're just going to put him to the side, forget about him for a while, and then come back to him again after all is said and done. Set him over here. I'm going to grab a drink of water. And then let's see what we're going to jump into next. Are we going to do do I want to dive in? He's not dry yet. Actually, okay, let's dive into the monster, because the dragon is not dry yet. I was going to do him, but he's not dry. So we're going to dive into Le Monster. He got a little bit. This is actually from the gloves I had on. Something was on them, and so it got on the monster. That wasn't cool. So it got on him a little bit. And you can see some shiny spots on him, and it was where there was a crack when he dried, and I wanted to seal it up and make sure it didn't get worse. And so I put some of the clear brushing transparent gloss glaze on before the bisque fire. And then one of his little horns here fell off, the little guys, and I put some glaze on it to hold it in place. And it did, as you can see. It's on there really well now. I don't even know which one of them it was. And I went ahead and put some around all of them just to make sure everything held on really well. And it did. He's together really nicely now. And now I'm going to glaze him completely and get him all decorated to go in for the final glazing. So we're going to do that. And I am going to use underglazing on him also, so that he has eyeballs and teeth. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. That was bad. I'm sorry. I'm just like smeggy, 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 smeggy. So he has eyeballs and teeth and all of that good stuff. So we'll use underglaze on him. He's not going to be a dipper. I mean, technically you could if you wanted to, and you could just go blah blah. But he wouldn't have a ton of detail in that case. But that would be a choice. So I'm going to underglaze and just get started with that. And just get started with probably with his eyeballs, honestly, and just work my way out from there. Or maybe his horns, actually, and decide what I'm going to do with them. And I have some nice white. And it's still got some good, it's not dry. Yay! I also have a white pencil. I really like this white a lot. It's called China White. So I think I'm going to do it. So we'll work with it. I'm going to open a window just a little bit to get some airflow. It is chilly, but I like a little airflow. Actually, Sophie likes a little airflow. I like a little airflow too, but she likes to check things out. Sniff about, sniff about, sniff about. Okay, so let us do some nice horns. Just painting them white. It'll take multiple layers of the white. And I use too small of a brush for this, but that's okay. And one of the things I did, I don't think I mentioned this, but before any of the glazing or anything, when I got these out of the kiln, I brought them all upstairs and I washed them. So that was the first thing I did when they came out of the kiln, was took them over to the sink and washed them. And that just makes sure that any particles from the kiln get off of them and that you're not glazing any little kiln particles, any little clay particles permanently on there. So they get washed really, really nicely and dry, so that they're nice and dry. And then you glaze. Because whatever gets glazed and fired, it's basically a part of that pot forever. I mean, you can use a sander, like a diamond sander, and technically sand it off, they say. But I've tried, and whoo, better be worth it to you. Let me put it that way. It better be worth it. All right, we'll let that dry so we can do another coat and move to this side. Teeth. Teeth. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that yet. Drat. Because I want the inside to be black so that it's black, so that you're just not looking at a white inside. So anything I can see, I am painting with this black. The other thing you could do is fill it up with black, but I wanted to try to just paint it. Because I think I can get what I need from that. Which it looks like I really have already. Not too shabby. Not too bad. I'm just going to wipe off. Oh, that was wiping with some color. That was not what I wanted to do. Yep, that was not good, but that's okay. Just wipe again. And that's why I said whoops to the white, because I knew it was going to get wiped away. But there we go. Now the inside is nice and black, and when it fires, it will just fire black. And so when people see it initially, they'll, when you see it from a distance, you won't see the white inside, you'll see black. And just nice little design choice. I like it anyway. So cap that. Need to wait for this to dry up just a little bit before I go back. But that's better. Not going to worry about it up here because the openings are so small. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I was worried about it in the mouth. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Now I'm going to go back up and start over again. And I'm going to switch out this stupid there we go. Thank you. Get it done just a little faster. Do not need the detail brush. All right. Cap in the white. So now we move on to the next piece. And I think I'm going to do the eyebrows and the eyes next. So let's do. I'm just going to move on to what? Let's see. Let's see. That's tight. Made this one eye really tight. Kind of collapsed in on itself a little bit. All right, that's good. Let that dry so I can do more detail around it. That tooth is actually hitting that other one bottom. It's not really, it's the glaze. I need a needle to get in there. I'll have to grab that in a second. I need to separate those two. The white glaze is actually joined to the bottom. Not quite what I wanted it to do. That's nice. There we go. That'll help the mouth pop a little bit more. Nice red mouth. Um, need eyebrows. Let's see, a couple of different dark green, light brown. There's a blue green. I don't think that's what I want. Okay, I think these will work. So let's do this one. I had a dark brown. Maybe I used it all up already. We'll do the light brown. Oh, that's thick. The light brown on the eyebrows. And then I'm going to do some light brown on the nose. I got a plan here. I got a plan. Toenails. I am now highlighting the crack because let's not hide our flaws. Let's bring them to the forefront. Actually, what I'm doing now is stuffing it with underglaze, and then I'm going to stuff it with some glaze so that I try to strengthen it. So I'm literally shoving underglaze into it. I've already glazed the crap out of it. Now I'm actually decorating it. I'm going to shove some more underglaze into it. Essentially, it is full of underglaze now. Ta-da! We'll see how that works. Potters all over are like, what is she doing? Playing. It has scoliosis like me. It actually does. It's almost got the same like curve that I do. It's pretty wild. It's crooked like me. All right, so we'll see how that works out. And then we're going to decorate it even more just to draw as much attention to the flaw as possible. Because why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? We're going to make it red. It'll be the only thing on this that's red. Actually making where my signature is red. But it really does have scoliosis. Like me. So it's got a little crooked spine just like me. All right. Let's see what else we need to do with the front. More stuff. Oh wait, I wasn't done back here yet. I had more. We have more. What was next? But wait, there's more. It's a butt. We have to decorate the butt. That's right. Don't be a fool. What you talking about, fool? There we go. Almost. Now, why did that decide it was going to split just in time? That nice single There we go. Wedge. Wedgie. Ha ha ha. And I do think to do the rest of this, I might need the brown back again. Because while he is not, you know what I'm going to need to do? I'm going to need to mix my own. I'm going to need to mix my own. I know it's crazy, but it's the way it be. Because none of these colors are what I want. Nothing's quite what I want. So that means, here we go. When in doubt, do it yourself. So let's get a little cup. Where are my little cups? Get a little mixer, and then we'll mix our own. Because none of these are going to be quite what I want. All right. Let's see. I'm just going to mix it on this palette, I think, instead of one of those little cups. I like using these. They're really, really easy to clean. That is a big deal to me. Okay, so we're going to do some black. Just a little bit. A little bit goes a very, very long way. Not with that. We're not going to do that. Oh, this is better. We'll do this. That we do need a decent amount of. Like this, we need a really decent amount of. All right, dude. And I think that's probably going to be enough. Do we want any white in that? Probably not. Do I want to just go ahead and mix the underglaze in it, or the other glaze in it? Maybe. Nah. All right. Fur. All right, my man. Here we go. Furry, furry. Oh, yeah. Let's actually just start down here because we just need a good layer. Take this up to about the waist. What would constitute a waist? I'll wipe that off in a second. Right now, I'm just going to keep on going with the little furs. Totally could have done this with texture if I'd taken more time whenever I built it. We talked about that some whenever it was actually created. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll have to wipe off the hand a little bit. That's all right. So where are we stopping? We're way up here. Gotcha. Gotcha. Let's go to the shoulder. I think that gives me a good common stopping point all the way across. I'll do some work on those arms to make them a little less messy. Messy. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to come back on and do another layer of the same. I'm filling in to give it really nice texture, but we want that to dry completely before we do it. And then what we want to do here, I'm going to do right, just let me connect right there. I think that'll look better. It'll look more finished. Yeah, there we go. Kind of clean up a little bit here. Whoa, hello. Some stuff I didn't want to got on the side of the nose. Seeing if I can, oh yeah, there we go. Got it off. Nice. And we'll go back and see if we need to touch it up some. I'm not going to worry. Well, yeah, we'll worry a little bit about this, but it's going to say I'm going to use a very, very, very similar color here. I don't think this is going to be too big of a deal that it bled over here, frankly. But it will be on the nose. That was a lot, though, so I wiped some of it off. Okay, let me go ahead and nope, I'm not going to do the arms because I'm going to come back in and hit all of this again. So I'm not going to do the arms yet. Order of operations, but I can do the upper body. And I can do the feet also. And the upper body, I was going to do in the same color, but with less, without the texturizing and with just a paintbrush. I don't like the texture on that paintbrush. Maybe I'll use this one after all. So I just want to use this stuff so that it's the same color, but I want to use a much more even stroke so it looks like the hair is coming down this way. Let me start more at the top here. And in fact, for the top, let me add a little black to it, so that at the top we have it much darker. All right, and let's keep going, keep on. Oh, shoot. Oh, good, it didn't stick. That was almost a mistake. Alrighty. So at this point, dry. Don't touchy, dry. Is kind of where we are. Just walk away for a couple, because even if I need to go back and do some more underglaze, uh, the underglaze that's here needs to dry so that I can do any more. But this is where we are now with our little dude. And then his behind looks like that. And so right now we're just gonna hang out and put him off to the side and let him chill and dry, and then we'll inspect the goods after he's dried completely and decide if he needs any touch-up work on any underglaze, or if he just gets his glaze on top, the Brilliance transparent gloss, and we leave it like it is. But for now, he just gets set off to the side here with the cat bowl, and they are going to dry. So that's 2 glazes down, and oh, so many more to go. But we're almost, I think, yeah, we're almost through the ones that I'm going to underglaze. We're almost to the point where I'm just going to be dipping. I wanted to underglaze some of the ones that have detail. So, like, for instance, this little dude is going to get underglazed. Plus, he's the one that I'm trying to salvage. Unfortunately, he's not going to get this black brown, which would be lovely to use up, but that's not the color that I would want this lovely little dragon, if we can even. Whoops, wrong lid. That's red. That's black. The little dragon to be. I don't want him to be black. I want him to be green. And so, like, this blue green that I've got right here is more, or even the dark green, which I think is really nice and thick. So that might be what I use. Yeah, just because I'm cheating. And also, of course, using this to hold together said dragon who broke. Use this to scoop some underglaze. Oh yeah, there we go. Scoop an underglaze. See how that works. Green, green, green. Oh, my little dragon friend. It's going to be a miracle. Absolute freaking miracle. But I believe in miracles. So let's see what happens. Yeah, yeah. So we just underglazed the living daylights out of that patch spot. And we'll see what happens. Now I'm just gonna do some more of the dragon. Oh, my little dragon. And the other issue with said dragon is that it's already got some of the shiny glaze on it to hold it together. So it may not love taking this underglaze. As you can see, it does not love taking this underglaze. But we're here, and we're going to do it anyway. And I think after this one, maybe just even after the dragon, but I'll take a break. I need to check if a couple of emails came through that I'm waiting for that are pretty, I need to get back on pretty quickly. And I need to break for food. So I'll do a quick computer and food break. And then come back and do some more glazing. Or I might transition to painting, but I really need to get these things glazed so they can get back into a kiln. No kiln, no glaze, no kiln. Have to do the things that we do not love sometimes. We do not love glazing. I just make pottery and let other people come up here and glaze it. Like, here, do it. Take it. Nah. Which is weird. You'd think, being the fact that I like to paint, I would like to glaze. Just, it's weird. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Oh, come on. Edgy, edgy, edgy. You've got to be kidding me. How hard can this? Oh, sorry, microphone. Crap. Ah! You've got to be kidding me. Got it. Okay. Good grief. Good grief. Let's see about the face here. Got splotchy. Splotchy. But you're cute. It's okay. I'm splotchy too. He's cute. I like him. He's got a nice little face. With his little candy corn head. This ridiculous little candy corn. All right. That's cute. Now I do think I am going to use some of the, oh wait, yikes, there we go, brown. Do some reuse here, not reuse, use, and we'll do a little more. His little candy corn. I guess I should have done that like a candy corn, but kind of didn't want. Of course, I guess that is kind of candy cornish. Crap. It is rather candy cornish. My adorable little friend. I really hope this doesn't run. It'd be so disappointing. Bleed. When it gets too hot, it's really, really not supposed to. But again, have been burned by these before. I think I want to do some nice white for the eyes. Let it dry. And then come back with some nice black in the center. But again, please don't run, because then I'll just have white running down his face. Whoa! Thank you. Let's not do that. Okay. White. The wings, I actually think I'm going to use, not that one, this one. And go back to this brown again. Ta-da! Except I think in this case, I do want to add some more of this black to it. There we go. All right. Oh, freaking wings. Of course, trying not to get any on the bowl itself, because it's going to be a different color. Not the end of the world if I do, I just wipe it off, but hey, it's nice not to. Let's see if I can get in here. Got it. Good. Now let's see if I can get the bottom of the wings. Oh, yeah. I got them. Thanks. All right, got it. Got it. Got it good. All right. We'll go back to the eyes here in a couple, but they need to dry some more. So the next thing is the bowl itself. And I think I want to do the bowl just something completely different. Blue-green underglaze. It was either that or rose. I thought about rose also, or like a flame red. It's also cool. There's this dark red here that would be kind of neat. But this blue-green would be pretty cool. And it's also a really good consistency for what I'm about to do. Because it has never been opened before. Haha, that would be why. Because I've never had a chance to completely dry it out. That would be why it's a good consistency. Funny that. So this is what this stuff is supposed to be like. That gives you a really good idea. There you go. This is the consistency that it's supposed to be until Hannah gets her hands on it. And yeah, you've seen what happens. It dries out. There we go. We had a bad incident. There was an incident, a forgetful incident. Oh, this will be nice. Yes, this is what I wanted. This is good. This is what I wanted. Very good. This will be pretty. And I'm going to do this on the inside and outside of this bowl, I do believe. So the whole bowl will be this blue-green, and then the dragon will sit on the edge. And then I'm going to do a clear coat on the whole thing. How pretty. Very, very nice color. And I'm keeping this confined to the inside and the rim because I'm still thinking that maybe I do want to make the outside of the bowl a different color. I might do it the red just because that would be a really fun contrast to this basically teal, blue-green. This would be, it would be a really, really fun contrast and make this a very cool bowl. So I think I'm going to do that as long as I don't make any mistakes and accidentally, you can tell I need to stop for some food soon. My words are getting slurred. Accidentally. It's kind of a cool word. Slursy wordsies. But yeah, that will be a cool contrast. I love this. I can't believe I've never opened this before. It's going to be my new favorite underglaze. That means you all will get a chance to partake in this underglaze as well. Look how pretty it is. So nice. Yeah, I think with a nice bright red on the outside. Chef's kiss. I say that now, but it has to survive the kiln. This, I mean, the bowl probably will. All bets are off for the actual dragon neck. All bets are off. I think he might actually make it. I think he might. He wants to make it. He wants to live. I want to break free. He wants to grow up to be a real bowl someday and be used for something. I can tell it. Drat. That's what happens when you touch when it hasn't dried yet. I just removed some. Okay, so let's let that dry up. Yeah, dry up. And it will need another layer, I can tell, to get the pop that I want from that collar, because I just want it to, But man, that's cool. And then let's do a red on the outside. Uh, that's a dark red. I think that's more what I want. I think there's enough of it. I've got on a few other things so far. I think I can work with it. I have a larger paintbrush over there I can work with. I think I do. Grab something that I can work with. It's just a little, let me work with this one here. Yeah, this is good. Okay. Ooh, I'm excited about this bowl now. I was not before, but these colors are going to be fun. Fun, 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 fun. Kind of excited about the cat bowl now too, because with those unnatural purples and blues and stuff, I like bright colors. I like in your face, bright, bright, bright. Is this? Nope, there's one more after this that I want to use underglaze for. And then the rest are dip. The broken cauldron with the lid gets underglazed. And then everything else gets dipped. I really can't wait to see this one. I really, really hope that the dragon survives, because this is going to be cute if it does. And I'm excited about the colors. So bright. Let me set this down really quickly. I need to grab one more thing that I don't normally use. Just because it is really going to make life a lot easier here. So much easier. I need to pick this up. Oh man, I need to try not to touch this. Touch as little as possible. There we go. It's such a small thing, but oh my gosh. This is the only one of these that I have that's made like this. I actually do have a lot of the um, just the spinners that are for use, but they're not really for pottery. So I just have a lot of, if you were ever here and you wanted to use that one, I mean you can if it's not in use, of course. Mikasa Sukasa. But I have a whole bunch of these around that are, for like spices and whatnot, or for mica powder, but there aren't in use, and they're not raised, so they're not as useful for trimming and whatnot, but they do spin, and they're pretty, you know, they can be useful as well. So I just say that as there's like, I think I'm looking at like 4 of them that aren't in use right now. So if you're ever around and you want to use them, there are some of these just kind of chilling around the studio. But of course, I mean, this one's always available if it's available. But it's mine. So oh, I can't wait to see this. So excited. So I just discovered, and I know I'm woefully behind, but you also can't get it here with ease. So there's that, here being in the United States. Um, Bummer. But the Great Pottery Showdown, oh my gosh, greatest show ever made. I just ran into it last night by complete chance, and I'm now obsessed with it and have watched an embarrassing amount of it, considering I didn't even know it existed, really. I mean, I think a friend of mine had told me about it, and then I tried to find it and was like, "Oh, you have to have HBO, and we don't have HBO, and da 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 to watch it." And was like, "Oh, okay, well, out of my life, out of my mind." And then I found that you could watch a couple bits and pieces of it on like Facebook Reels and like YouTube. You could watch a little bit of it last night, and I caught bits and pieces of some episodes. I caught one full episode, and oh my god, it's like the greatest show ever put on television. Next to, oh my gosh, what was there was another show where they like rehabbed old things and shop. Oh no, what was it called? Uh, but it was another, of course, across the pond show. But that was the whole point of it, was that they, people would bring in these old items, and the folks would restore it, and it might be ceramics, it might be a watch, it might be, there were different experts within the shop who would rehab furniture. I think there was clothing. There was somebody there that did pieces of clothing, and that was such a cool show. And I guess they still make it too, but again, I don't know how. I need to look for that and figure out how to get it. Because man, that's my kind of TV. Like that's the shows I'll sit down and watch. I don't really sit down and watch TV. I'm not really that into it. There was, what did Jesse get me to watch here just just recently? Oh my god. Okay, well that's totally different and not probably appropriate. Um, very different. Not art. Well, yeah, art related. But we watched a show on Netflix that I had never heard of, and again, it's been around forever. I had just never heard of it, and it didn't start on Netflix either. It just got, I guess, bought by Netflix. Um, there are a couple that we've watched here recently that he picked up that were really good, but one of them was called Minx. Surprisingly good. Don't let your kids watch it. I think the description would probably tell you that right off, but really good show. I was surprised. I'm not a sit down and watch TV person, but I sat down and watched a surprising amount of that. Got a little annoying there at the end. I don't know. Some of the characters are right on the edge of unlikable to the point of like, okay, I can't watch this anymore. But I'm like that. I get like that. I know most people don't get like that with characters. I cannot like characters in TV shows to the point that I can't watch the TV show anymore. And they're characters that are supposed to be unlikable. I mean, they're supposed to be unlikable, but I just get visceral reactions to them and then can't watch the show anymore. So that's just me. Most people don't get like that. I just get like that. So don't take my advice on TV too often. Particularly if I say I don't like something, I think I am very hard on entertainment. Very hard on entertainment. I just don't sit down for long. I just can't. I can't. Even when we do watch something, I'm usually standing for a good 3/4 of it, half of it. Standing in a doorway or something. All right, I think that's probably pretty good. It looks very different now, much less splotchy on the blue. It was just real splotchy. You could just tell when it dried that it was not going to look good when it was fired. But now it looks pretty good. I'd kind of like to do old Dragono again. He looks like he is probably going to be not a good splotchy whenever he is fired. So I'm going to take the dark green, this little guy here, and come back in. Man, this guy's not, isn't that lovely? Blah, why didn't I have this here the whole time? And then I'll do the eyes. There is a great children's book about a dragon that I found, I hunted down used not too long ago because I couldn't find it. I don't think I could find it any other way but used because it's pretty old. Because it was a children's book when I was a child. So that tells you a bit right there. But it's called Trafalgar True. And Trafalgar is a dragon. It was very important children's book to me as a kid. But Trafalgar is a dragon. I cannot think of who wrote it. I have it. Like I said, I have it. I hunted it down like a year and a half ago. I bought it for myself, actually, for a kind of a birthday gift for myself because it was such an important children's book to me. And I got it as a little kid, but Trafalgar is a dragon, and he lives with the kith and kin, who are these adorable little fuzzy creatures who are white and black and white. And he just lives out in the woods around the kith and kin. And one day, a piece of a star falls to the planet. And of course, all of a sudden, the kith and kin who have never fought before and certainly never noticed their differences before, that some of them are white and black and some of them are black and white. They never noticed that. They start to notice. and they start to fight over ownership of the star fragment and who gets more time with it, and they start to faction off. And I know this sounds really complicated for a children's book, but it's just a little kid's book, and it's just done in a couple of pages. But they faction off into uh, basically what they look like by white and black or black and white, and they start to fight. Basically, they go to war over over this piece of star. And Trafalgar, well, you should read it. You should probably read it, but there's a lesson in it essentially. And Trafalgar, the dragon, is the one that teaches Kith and Kin the lesson about what really matters, and that owning this piece of a star, they were perfectly happy all of their lives, all of their existence, before this piece of star fell to Earth. And they had never noticed their differences before. Their differences had never mattered until they tried to take ownership of this piece of star. And Trafalgar, through his actions, makes them realize what really matters. But I'd say you need to read the book to figure out what Trafalgar does to make them realize it. And it was a book that really mattered to me as a kid. And I've remembered it my whole life. And I had to have read it when I was like 5 or 6. So, and I've always had a thing for dragons. And it's because of Trafalgar. I'm sure Pete's dragon didn't hurt, but truth be told, it's really because of Trafalgar. Trafalgar True. He's purple, though. He's not green. All right, dude. I think that's the best we're going to get. And I think it's pretty good, except let's try to get right there. I'm seeing that crack again. Okay. That's going to have to do. All right. Yep. And do a little dot of black in the center of each eye. Can we do it with a pencil, or do I need to do it with paint? I'm a little worried about the paint. No, we'll do it with the paint. A little worried. I have been burned by you before. All right. Dude. Man, that's thick. This is a different black. I see. Crud. Now I don't even know which one is the black that is a problem. We'll find out now. This is how we find out before anyone else is here and has to find out on their piece. Here we go. Oh, look at that ivy. Look at that ivy. Here we go. You know what? Oh, let's see if we can make that a little bit more round. There we go. That's better. That's a little bit better. Maybe we do a little bit of shadow right here. I like that more. That's better. More shadow right here. Again, I like that more. That's better. Some shade. Shade. All right, I think again, we walk away. We let this stuff dry. And then we come back to do the transparent glaze over top. We've got 3 now that have the underglaze. We got the dragon, the monster, and the critter bowl. So that's 3 things done now. And we'll come back and work on some more here in a couple, but I think we're going to break for a few, grab some food, get some dogs out. I bet you everybody needs a break as far as that goes as well. And then come back to it here in a couple and see how far we can get. Maybe do another 2-3 hours worth of glazing here shortly. And I will see you all here in just a few. I hope everyone's having a very lovely day and continues to.